Firstly, because I know a lot of people don't watch these videos to the end, I'm going to say what I usually say at the end of the video. Please sign up to our e-training at stripeylightbulb.com. We have online learning on MECFS for healthcare, business and education professionals. This video is because today marks the 1-year anniversary of my own personal long COVID experience, but it's also 1 year since the start of the first UK lockdown. Today is particularly emotional for me as a health milestone, but it's also particularly emotional because a year ago, as an MECFS patient advocate, but also as the Managing Director of Stripey Lightbulb CIC, I was saying that Covid-19 was highly likely to trigger chronic illness in a percentage of people. What I said a year ago has come true. And I've spent the last year now with 2 chronic illnesses because I have MECFS myself. I've spent the last year trying to engage with businesses, teachers and healthcare professionals about the need to understand how post-viral illness works to be able to adequately support patients within those environments, whether that's healthcare, learning or working. I have to make this clear, Stripey Lightbulb came about because of the poor knowledge base on MECFS. MECFS is not a new illness. Myalgic encephalomyelitis, otherwise known as chronic fatigue syndrome, has been around for decades. I think the term ME was first coined in the 1950s. Patients today that have got MECFS are inadequately supported in those 3 sectors. And I hoped I would never see the day that another chronic illness has the same issues. Unfortunately, long COVID patients are experiencing exactly the same inadequate or inappropriate support in those 3 sectors. And just this week, the Office of National Statistics published data, and they estimate that in March 2021, bearing in mind we haven't even reached the end of March yet, 23 days, 315,000 people in the UK have now had COVID, long COVID, for over 3 months. So that's just in 23 days, 315,000 people became long COVID. You have to have symptoms for 12 weeks or more to become a long COVID patient. So imagine if it's 315,000 in 23 days, imagine how many there's been since January last year. All of those people are your students, your patients, or your employees. And how many of you, hand on heart, know enough about post-viral illness to think that it's more than just fatigue? That's what I want you to think about today. When you have your employee, some of you, if you work for a company that's got maybe 10,000 employees, you will have a number of long COVID patients within your workforce. Does your occupational health team know how to support those patients? Standard disability policies do not work with MECFS, so that means they won't work with long COVID either. And I should make this clear, there is a large chunk of long COVID patients who have now had an MECFS diagnosis. What you won't know is that the most MECFS cases are triggered by viruses, which is why a year ago I was saying that COVID-19 will trigger chronic illness. There was just debate about what kind of chronic illness it would trigger. And so far, the science that has been done over the last year has shown that long COVID patients have now been diagnosed with MECFS and or fibromyalgia, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, lupus, I think, because it's to do with the rash, and Lyme disease. These are all chronic illnesses that already existed. Please sign up to our training because although we are specific to MECFS, the reasonable adjustments and the support ideas that we offer in the 3rd module for those specific sectors apply to all chronic illnesses that have fatigue or energy deficiency as one of those symptoms. Long COVID patients are exhibiting many ME/CFS symptoms. So whether it is the same or similar, our course is relevant for long COVID. So whether you're interested in ME/CFS or long COVID, our training is for you, whether you are a teacher, employer, or healthcare professional. The knowledge base that existed when Stripey Light Bulb was first created hasn't improved significantly. As much as I wish it had done, it hasn't. It's been a very slow work in progress, and we were starting to make inroads, but now we have hundreds of thousands, if not 1 million plus more chronically sick patients who would benefit from you doing our training. Please do take a look at stripeylightbulb.com. The discounted rate, and it's a really tiny amount, £12 for 3 hours of training. That discount has lasted throughout the pandemic, but it is ending on the 29th of March. So after the 29th, so the 30th of March onwards, it's going up to £59 for 3 hours of e-learning that's CPD accredited. Please do sign up today. Take a look at stripeylightbulb.com. Thank you.